Hey there, horror fans. Before we dive into tonight's chilling tale, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a scare. Now, let's get into it. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post something like this on Reddit, but I don't know where else to turn. My name's Emily, and I'm a 24-year-old graphic designer living in a small apartment in a quiet town. At least, it used to feel quiet. For the past few weeks, something's been happening that's turned my life upside down, and I'm starting to question my own sanity. I'm posting this on r/LetsNotMeet because, well, I really hope I never meet whoever's behind this. It started about a month ago, just after I'd settled into a new routine. I'd landed a remote job, so my days were pretty predictable. Wake up at 7 a.m., make coffee, work at my desk by the window, maybe step out for a jog around the park at noon. My apartment's on the 3rd floor of a brick building, nothing fancy, but it's got a good view of the street below. I liked watching people go about their day. Dog walkers, delivery guys, kids on bikes. It felt safe, normal, until it didn't. The first message came on a Tuesday morning. I just sat down with my coffee, scrolling through my phone, when I got a text from an unknown number. It read, "Nice blue mug. You always drink coffee at 7:15. I froze, staring at the screen. My favorite blue ceramic mug was sitting right in front of me, steam curling up from it. I glanced at the window, half expecting to see someone staring back, but the street was empty. Just cars parked along the curb and a guy walking his dog in the distance. I figured it was a prank. Maybe a friend got a new number and thought it'd be funny to mess with me. I texted back, "Who is this?" No reply. I blocked the number and tried to shake it off, but I couldn't focus on work. My eyes kept drifting to the window, scanning the street. Every shadow felt like it was watching me. By lunchtime, I'd convinced myself it was nothing. I went for my jog, same route as always, down the street, around the park, past the old oak tree, and back. But when I got home, another text was waiting, from a different number. "You're faster today. 22 minutes for the loop." Impressive. My stomach dropped. I stood in my kitchen, still sweaty from the run, staring at my phone. How did they know my time? I hadn't told anyone I was going jogging, and I didn't use a fitness tracker. I checked every window, locked the door, even pushed my couch against it. I called my best friend, Sarah, and told her about the texts. She thought it was some creep from a dating app I'd used a while back. Maybe someone who'd figured out my routine. "Change your number," she said, "and don't go jogging alone for a while." I agreed, but I didn't feel any better. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the apartment made me jump. I kept my phone off, but around 2 a.m., I got an email. Not a text this time, an email, from some random string of letters and numbers at a free provider. The subject line was blank, but the body read, "You left your bedroom light on. It's a nice shade of yellow." I bolted upright, heart pounding. My bedroom light was on, casting a soft glow across the room. I ran to the window and yanked the curtains shut, then turned off every light in the apartment. I sat in the dark, clutching a kitchen knife, listening for any sound that didn't belong. The next morning, I called the police. They were sympathetic but said there wasn't much they could do without a clear threat or evidence. "Could be a neighbor messing with you," the officer said, "or someone fishing for info. Don't engage, and keep us posted if it escalates." I changed my phone number that day and set my email to filter out anything from unknown senders. For a few days, things were quiet. I avoided my usual routine, skipped my jogs, and worked from a coffee shop instead of my apartment. I thought maybe it was over. Then, on Saturday, I got a package. It was sitting outside my apartment door. No label, no return address, just a small brown box. I probably should have left it alone, but curiosity got the better of me. Inside was a single photo, printed on cheap paper. It was me, jogging in the park, mid-stride, with the oak tree in the background. On the back, in neat handwriting, was a note. "You look good in green. Wear it again tomorrow." I dropped the photo like it burned me. My hands were shaking as I called Sarah, who told me to get out of the apartment and stay with her. I packed a bag, grabbed my laptop, and left. As I drove to her place, my phone buzzed with a new text from yet another number. "Leaving so soon? You didn't even lock the door." I slammed on the brakes, checked my rearview mirror, and realized I had forgotten to lock the door in my panic. Whoever this was, they were watching me, and they were close. That's all for part 1 of this terrifying tale. If you're hooked, smash that subscribe button and join our community of horror lovers. Stay tuned for part 2, where things get even creepier. I pulled into Sarah's driveway, my heart still racing from that last text. I double-checked my car doors, grabbed my bag, and practically sprinted to her front door. Sarah let me in, her face pale as I showed her the photo and the texts. "This isn't a prank, Emily," she said, locking the door behind me. "This is serious." We sat on her couch, blinds drawn, trying to piece it together. Who could be watching me? How did they know so much? Sarah's place felt safer, but I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were still on me, even there. That night, I barely slept. Sarah's guest room was cozy, with a small window overlooking her backyard, but every rustle outside made me flinch. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. I'd gotten a new number, so I thought I was safe. But there it was, a text from another unknown number. "Sarah's backyard needs mowing. You should tell her." I crept to the window, peering through a crack in the blinds. The backyard was dark, just shadows of trees swaying in the wind. Nothing moved, but I felt exposed, like someone was staring right back. I woke Sarah up and showed her the message. She called the police again, but they gave us the same line. No direct threat, no evidence, no action. They suggested setting up a camera outside her house, which we did the next morning. It was one of those cheap security cams you can monitor from your phone. We also went back to my apartment to lock the door and grab more of my stuff. The whole time, I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see someone lurking. The street was quiet, but it felt wrong, like the air was too still. Back at Sarah's, we checked the camera feed obsessively. Nothing unusual showed up, just the occasional cat or gust of wind rustling the grass. I started to wonder if I was overreacting. Maybe it was a neighbor with too much time on their hands, or some hacker messing with me. But then, 2 days later, another package arrived at Sarah's doorstep. It was identical to the one at my place. No label, just a plain brown box. Inside was another photo, this time of me standing at my apartment window, taken from the street below. I was holding my blue mug, the one from the first text. Scrawled on the back was, "You're safer at Sarah's, but not for long." Sarah wanted to confront whoever it was, but I begged her to stay calm. We took the photo to the police, who finally seemed to take it seriously. They dusted it for prints but found nothing useful, just smudges. They asked if I had any enemies, exes, or co-workers who might hold a grudge. I racked my brain, but nothing stood out. I dated a guy briefly last year, but he'd moved across the country. My co-workers were all remote, and I barely knew them. The police promised to patrol Sarah's street more often, but it didn't feel like enough. That night, the camera caught something. At 1:47 a.m., the motion sensor triggered, and the feed showed a figure standing at the edge of Sarah's backyard. They were too far to make out details. Just a dark shape, maybe in a hoodie, standing still for exactly 30 seconds before walking out of frame. We re-watched the footage a dozen times, zooming in, but it was too grainy to see a face. Sarah's face went white. "That's not a coincidence," she whispered. We sent the clip to the police, who said they'd look into it, but I could tell they weren't hopeful. The next morning, I got an email from another random address. This one had an attachment, a video. My hands shook as I opened it on Sarah's laptop. It was a shaky, low-quality clip, maybe from a phone, showing the front of my apartment building at night. The camera panned up to my window, where I was visible, working at my desk. The video lingered for a few seconds, then cut to black. At the end, text appeared on the screen. "I see you, Emily. Do you see me?" I felt like I was going to be sick. Sarah grabbed the laptop and shut it, but the image was burned into my mind. Whoever this was, they weren't just watching from a distance. They were bold enough to get close, to film me, to send me proof. We called the police again, and this time they sent an officer to Sarah's house. He took the video and promised to escalate things, but he warned us it could take time to trace anything. "Stay vigilant," he said, like that wasn't already my entire existence. I stopped leaving the house. Sarah went to work, but I stayed inside, blinds shut, checking the camera feed every hour. I felt like a prisoner, but going back to my apartment wasn't an option. That night, as we sat in her living room, the camera alerted us again. Another figure in the backyard, same spot, same hoodie. This time, they held up a piece of paper to the camera. It was too dark to read, but the message was clear. They knew we were watching. I haven't posted in a few days because, honestly, I've been too scared to even open my laptop. That night after the figure in the hoodie held up that paper to Sarah's backyard camera, I felt like my world was collapsing. Sarah zoomed in on the footage, her hands shaking as much as mine. The paper was grainy, but we could just make out the words scrawled in thick black marker. "Look behind you." We both spun around, expecting someone to be standing in the living room, but it was just us, the blinds drawn tight, the house silent except for our ragged breathing. Sarah grabbed a baseball bat from her closet, and we checked every room, every corner. Nothing. But that didn't mean we were alone. The police came by again the next morning. We showed them the footage, the paper, the video from the email. The officer, a different one this time, took it more seriously than the others. He said they'd increase patrols and try to trace the email, but he warned us that burners and VPNs make it hard to pin down creeps like this. "Stay somewhere else if you can," he said, "and don't open any more packages." Like I needed the reminder. Sarah's place was supposed to be my safe haven, but now it felt like a trap. Whoever this was, they knew where I was, no matter where I went. We decided to stay at a cheap motel for a couple of nights, just to get some distance. We packed light, left Sarah's house at noon, and drove 20 miles out of town. The motel was a rundown place off the highway, with flickering neon signs and a clerk who barely looked up from his phone. We paid in cash, used Sarah's name, and got a room with 2 beds and a window facing the parking lot. I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd thrown them off. No texts, no emails, no packages for the first day. I started to breathe a little easier, even slept for a few hours. Then, on the second night, my phone buzzed. A new number, of course. The text read, Motel 6, Room 14. The curtains are too thin. My blood ran cold. I yanked the curtains shut, the cheap fabric barely covering the window. Sarah was already on her feet, peering through a tiny gap. The parking lot was empty, just a few cars and a flickering streetlight. But the message was clear. They'd found us. Again. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, there was nothing to see. No figure, no evidence. Just my word and a text that could have come from anywhere. We checked out the next morning and went back to Sarah's, too exhausted to keep running. I was done hiding. If this creep wanted to play games, I needed to figure out who they were. Sarah and I started digging. We went through my old dating app messages, social media, even emails from clients. Nothing stood out. No angry exes, no weird coworkers, no red flags. But then Sarah found something. She'd been scrolling through the local news archives, looking for anything about stalkers in our town. She found an article from 5 years ago about a guy who'd been arrested for harassing women in the area. He'd send them notes, photos, even break into their homes. He got 3 years, which meant he could be out by now. The article didn't have a photo, but his name was Daniel Carter. The name didn't ring any bells, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it meant something. I called the police and gave them the name, but they said they couldn't share info about ongoing investigations. I felt helpless, but Sarah had an idea. She suggested we set a trap, leave the camera running, plant some bait, and see if we could catch this guy in the act. We bought a decoy phone, left it on Sarah's kitchen counter with a fake text conversation open, and waited in her car down the street, watching the live feed. At 2:13 a.m., the camera triggered. The feed showed the kitchen, the decoy phone glowing softly. A shadow moved across the frame, not outside, but inside the house. My heart stopped. The figure was in a hoodie, face hidden, moving slowly toward the phone. They picked it up, typed something, then set it down. A second later, my real phone buzzed with a text. Nice try, Emily. I'm closer than you think. The figure looked straight at the camera, raised a hand, and waved. Sarah screamed, and I floored the gas, speeding back to her house. We called the police on the way, but when we got there, the place was empty. The decoy phone was gone. On the counter in its place was a single photo of me and Sarah sitting in her car, taken from behind. That photo of us in Sarah's car broke something in me. It wasn't just fear anymore, it was rage. This creep, whoever they were, wasn't just watching me. They were toying with us, always one step ahead. Sarah was a wreck, pacing her living room, muttering about selling her house and moving far away. I didn't blame her. Her home, her safe space, had been violated. The police showed up after our call, dusted the counter for prints, and took the photo as evidence. They found nothing useful, as usual. We're doing everything we can, the officer said, but his eyes told a different story. They were out of their depth. We couldn't stay at Sarah's anymore. The idea of sleeping there, knowing someone had been inside, was unbearable. We crashed at her coworker's place. A guy named Mike who lived in a gated community 10 miles away. Mike was a big guy, ex-military, and his house had a full security system. Cameras, alarms, the works. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of safety. But it didn't last. The next morning, as we sat at Mike's kitchen table, my phone buzzed with an email. Another random address. No subject. The body read, "Mike's house is nice. Too bad about the blind spot by the garage." Attached was a photo of me and Sarah walking up Mike's driveway the night before, taken from an angle the cameras didn't cover. Mike checked his security system immediately. The cameras hadn't picked up anything unusual. No one near the garage, no motion alerts. He was furious, insisting we call the police again. I was numb. How did they keep finding me? I'd changed my number twice, avoided social media, and now we were in a fortress of a house, and they still knew where I was. Sarah suggested I ditch my phone entirely, thinking it might be hacked. I got a burner phone from a gas station, transferred only my closest contacts, and left my old phone powered off at Mike's. For 2 days, things were quiet. No texts, no emails, no packages. I started to hope we'd finally outrun this creep. Mike taught us how to monitor his security system, and we took shifts watching the feeds. But on the third night, at 1:42 a.m., the alarm went off. The panel showed a breach at the back door. Mike grabbed a baseball bat. Sarah called 911, and I checked the camera feed. The back door was wide open, swinging in the wind, but no one was there. The police arrived, searched the property, and found nothing. No footprints, no signs of forced entry. Just an open door that Mike swore he'd locked. When we got back inside, something was off. On the coffee table, where we'd left a pile of magazines, was a single sheet of paper. It was a handwritten note. "You can't hide, Emily. I'm part of you now." My knees buckled. Sarah grabbed the note and shoved it into the officer's hands, screaming that this was proof that someone was in the house. The officer bagged it, promised to test it for prints, but I could see it in his face. He thought we were paranoid, maybe even staging it. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers. Against Sarah's protests, I went back to my apartment the next day. If this creep was following me, I'd face them on my turf. I set up my old phone as a decoy again, left it on my kitchen counter, and hid a small webcam in a bookshelf, streaming to Mike's laptop. Sarah and Mike stayed at his place, watching the feed, ready to call the police if anything happened. I sat in my bedroom, lights off, clutching a kitchen knife, waiting. At 3:07 a.m., the webcam caught movement. A figure in a hoodie slipped into my kitchen, silent as a shadow. They didn't touch the phone, just stood there, head tilted, like they were listening. Then they turned, slowly, and looked directly at the webcam. My blood froze. They raised a hand, holding a photo. It was me in my bedroom, holding the knife, taken from outside my window seconds ago. My phone buzzed with a text from a new number. "Check your closet." I spun around, heart pounding, staring at the closet door. It was cracked open, just an inch, but I hadn't touched it all night. I gripped the knife tighter, my breath shallow, and took a step closer. Something inside moved, a faint rustle, like fabric shifting. I wanted to run, but my feet were glued to the floor. The closet door creaked, inching open wider. My hand trembled on the knife, the blade catching the faint moonlight filtering through my bedroom curtains. The closet door was cracked open, that soft rustle inside echoing in my ears like a heartbeat. The text, "Check your closet," burned in my mind. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body wouldn't move. Sarah and Mike were watching the webcam feed from Mike's place, probably calling the police by now, but that felt like a lifetime away. It was just me, the knife, and whatever was behind that door. I inched closer, my breath shallow, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The rustle stopped, replaced by a low hum, almost like breathing. I reached for the closet handle, my fingers brushing the cold wood, when my phone buzzed again. Another text from a new number. "You're so close, Emily. Open it." My heart pounded so hard I thought it'd burst. I yanked the door open, knife raised, ready to strike. The closet was empty. Just my clothes, a few boxes, and a musty smell. I let out a shaky breath, my knees weak. But then I saw it. A small envelope tucked into the corner, half hidden under a sweater. My name was scrawled on it in that same neat handwriting from the photos. I tore it open, my hands shaking. Inside was a single Polaroid, grainy but clear enough. Me, standing in my bedroom, holding the knife, staring at the closet. The photo was taken from inside the closet, seconds ago. I dropped it, stumbling back, my eyes darting around the room. There was no one here. No one. I called Sarah, my voice barely a whisper. "Did you see anything on the feed?" She was frantic, saying the webcam cut out right after the figure waved. The police were on their way, but I couldn't wait. I grabbed the Polaroid and ran to the kitchen, checking the webcam. It was still there, lens pointed at the counter, but the decoy phone was gone. In its place was another note. "Look up." My stomach twisted. Above me, on the ceiling, was a small blinking red light. A camera I'd never seen before, embedded in the smoke detector. I ripped the detector off the wall, smashing it on the counter. Wires and a tiny lens spilled out. They'd been watching me from inside my own apartment, maybe for weeks. My skin crawled as I realized every moment, every coffee, every late-night work session had been recorded. I tore through the apartment, checking every light fixture, every vent. I found 2 more cameras. One in the bathroom vent, another in the living room lamp. My safe space was a stage, and I was the unwitting star. The police arrived, sirens blaring, but I was already spiraling. They found no fingerprints, no DNA, just like always. The cameras were cheap, untraceable, bought online. The officer in charge, Detective Ramirez, sat me down. "We think this is someone you know," he said. "The level of detail, the access, it's personal." I'd told them about Daniel Carter, the stalker from the old news article, but they'd tracked him down. He was still in prison, ruled out. Ramirez asked about anyone else. Friends, family, even Sarah. I shook my head, but a seed of doubt planted itself. Sarah had been with me through everything, but how did the stalker always know where I was? I went back to Mike's with Sarah, too scared to stay in my apartment. That night, I couldn't sleep, replaying every text, every photo. Around 2 a.m., Mike's security system pinged. The garage camera, the one with the blind spot, showed a figure in a hoodie, holding a phone, filming the house. Ramirez had left an officer stationed outside, but when we checked, he was slumped in his car, unconscious. The figure was gone by the time we woke him. I was done. I told Sarah and Mike I was leaving town, going somewhere random, no plan, no trace. I bought a bus ticket to a city 3 states away, paid in cash, and left my burner phone behind. I thought I'd finally escaped. But as the bus pulled into the station at dawn, my new phone, a cheap prepaid one, buzzed with a text. "Nice choice, Emily. I like the view from the back of the bus." I spun around, scanning the seats. A man in a hoodie sat at the rear, face hidden, typing on his phone. He looked up, smiled, and raised a hand, holding a Polaroid of me boarding the bus. I screamed, and the driver stopped. Passengers stared as I stumbled off, running into the station, but he was gone when I looked back. The police met me there, took the phone, the photo, everything. They're still searching, but I know the truth. This isn't just a stalker. It's something else, something that knows me, that's inside my life, my head. I'm posting this from a library computer, far from home, but I don't feel safe. I don't think I ever will. Thanks for sticking with my story, Reddit. If you're reading this, check your surroundings. Look for the cameras. And if you get a text from an unknown number, don't reply. That's the end. If this tale chilled your bones, smash that subscribe button and join our community for more nightmares. Stay safe out there.